Hello and welcome back, adventurers! Today we have returned to the land of Richemulot and discussing its history and drop by the cities on the way back. The false history of Richemulot presents a perplexing problem. To put it bluntly, the realm seems to not have any history at all. According to the elderly Richemulots, they apparently emerged from the mists with full knowledge of their own identities and the social customs of the realm. The actual events preceding that fateful day, however, remain a mystery. Apparently, the only knowledge concerning the realm's origins is that when the land first appeared, its cities lay empty and abandoned. Immigrants poured in looking for a fresh start, and a rise in aristocracy came about due to a land rush, as the first to come were first to rule. To unearth a potential seminal event, one must turn to the surrounding realms in 694 Barovian calendar. The most likely candidate is the history of the Falconian city of Silberwas. The fragmentary records of the garrison indicate that in the early 690s, the city experienced an alarming surge in were-rat sighting and attacks. This came to a head in 694, when one of the lycanthropes mauled a Talon officer and the military force responded with the usual ruthlessness. Later, were-rat sightings in surrounding domains suggest a mass exodus in the wake of Falconian pogroms. Given the prevalence of both rats and were-rats in Richemulot cities, it stands to reason that many lycanthropes fled into the misty border and were saved by the emergence of their domain. Of course, this leads to an unsettling conclusion that Richemulot rightfully belongs to were-rats, rather than humanity. Since 694, Richemulot have been a relatively quiet domain. It has never gone to war with a neighboring realm, nor has the revolution or drastic social upheaval ever griped it. The Church of Ezra expanded peacefully into Richemulot within a few years of the realm's appearance, and the home faith has since become widespread here. The most notable event in the past 6 decades or so has been the murder of Richemulot's de facto monarch, Claude Rainier, in 726 BC. When Richemulot appeared, Claude ruled the realm for the fear he instilled in the nobles. His successor, Jacqueline Rainier, dominates aristocracy as firmly as her grandfather did, although with subtler touch and a good deal more charisma. Despite the suspicions surrounding Claude's bizarre death, his body fell from a high window of Château de la Noire, crashed through the roof of the estate's kennel, and was partially devoured by family hounds, all apparently after the elder Rainier had already died from an acute allergic reaction. The legitimacy of Jacqueline's position has never been publicly questioned. In 729 BC, Jacqueline cemented Richemulot's position as a power in the core when she approved the realm's joining with Borca, Tmantlu and Mordant in the famous Treaty of Four Towers. Richemulot's nobles suspect that Jacqueline's craving for prestige and national legitimacy motivated her far more than protectorist concern. Nestled at a slight bend in the river, Pontimosau sprawls across both shores. Towering levees, up to 50 feet high, stand on both river banks, protecting the city from flooding. Massive stone bridges connect either shore to an aggregation of man-made islands, each also supported on a freestanding levee. Through a cunning design of network ramps, switchback stairs and pulley-driven platforms, cargo and passengers can reach the street level easily. And finally, drawbridges on the major causeways permit vessels on the Musardi to navigate freely past the city. Pontimosau is arguably the most vital river port for the entire western core. The city is a gathering place for wealthy buyers and sellers from Caracas to Darkon, all seeking opportunity and the best wholesale prices. Pontimosau streets are narrow and labyrinthine, especially in the southern districts of the city, which seems to be much older than the rest. The Grand Theatre of Musardi looks over the Plaza of Stars, a market where withstanding can be found. Richemulot's Academy offers university degrees to the Richemulot's elite, who receive a classical training in philosophy, literature, linguistics, and natural science. Santa Carelia Dozens oversees the activities of the Church of Ezra from the Cathedral of the Ordained Plague, built from the remnants of an ancient bathhouse. At the literal center of the city, crouching on a large island in the middle of Musardi, is Château de la Noire, the ancestral manor of the Rainiers and the home of the Grande Dame herself. Pontimosau is strongly colored by Jacqueline's proximity and ambition. She has recently devoted herself to a series of ambitious projects in Pontimosau, including the construction of an enormous city wall, complete with locks to control river traffic, and the restoration of several decrepit blocks of tenements to accommodate Richemulot's influx of refugees. Saint Raunch lacks the urban atmosphere of Pontimosau, but makes up for it in the underworld unseemliness. Much as the local nobles love to admit it, the criminal element in St. Raunch is one step removed from out of control. There are no organized underworld guilds here, however. Instead, legions of the street gangs run short-term rackets in pickpocketing, robbery, burglary, and gambling. The watch companies have stretched themselves to exhaustion trying to keep up. Perennial rumors of an elaborate slavery ring frightens honest citizens and street rabble alike. Unlike other Richemulot cities, St. Raunch is walled. The ramparts of stone and 6 fortified gates appear even older than the city itself. It sprawls in a somewhat haphazard fashion along the western shore of the Musardi, spilling out of the walls and into the surrounding idyllic countryside. Crafted goods generate most of the city's wealth. However, St. Raunch is most famous for its blades of exceptional balance and keenness from Raungese steel. Most of the St. Raunch swordsmiths are devoutly religious folk, and anchorites weave their prayers over the final days of the Raungese sword creation. Legends say that whoever strikes another man down with such a blade, without mercy in his heart, will suffer Ezra's wrath. The identity of the eponymous St. Raunch is a mystery, certainly. Neither the Church of Ezra nor any faith known in the core recognizes such a saint. Walls throughout the city feature faded paintings of strange, hallowed figures with the head of a hound, clutching curious relics. Other noteworthy sights include the ancient monumental archways that dot the city, and the old gardens, much of which lie brown and withered, and choked by thistles. Efforts from the natural scientists in the area are slowly returning the gardens to their former glory. St. Raunch is also home to the spectacular ancestral catacombs of the Rainier family, where the dead are shipped, preserved, and interred. Martigny sprawls along the northeastern shore of the Musardi, where the river bends sharply before joining the lunar river of Borca. Fragmentary frescoes suggest that a succession of barbarians and militant conquerors swept through the Martigny in the past, but the dating and details remain ambiguous. Like its sister cities to the north, Martigny has a reputation as a thriving trading hub. Relatively far from the shadow of Jacqueline Rainier, Martigny has the feel of a city thrumming with potential. The aristocracy here is strong, vibrant, and less cutthroat than in Pontimosau. The amusements demanded by the nobles have drawn a host of artists, actors, dancers, and talented troubadours from Cartacas and beyond. The Church of Ezra is strong here, though many of the heresies that lurk in the House of the Sages are thought to have a toehold in here as well. The illustrious Lock and Key Watch Company, whose members hide behind grotesque masks, has been defending itself in the past years from the charges of blasphemy. Notable features of the city include l'Estime Capitale, an elegant structure built by the Martigny nobility in the late 700s to serve as a town hall. The accompanying attempts to make Martigny more republican fell apart when Claude Rainier has the instigators sealed inside metal casks and buried at the bottom of the Musardi. Today, l'Estime Capitale is divided into several barracks of the various city watch companies. House of the 100 Moths is ostensibly a private astronomical observatory, though most locals know it actually as a secret arcane college, the only one of its kind in Richemulot. The Martigny nobles sponsor the observatory to keep it close at hand and remain watchful of the rise of ambitious wizards. Thank you so much for your time, patient listeners. I'm amazed at the apparent hold Jacqueline Rainier has on her subjects. She is truly an inspiration as a Dark Lord and a ruler of a thriving domain. So please, if you want to meet her, be careful while crossing the mists.